Hello, everyone. I'm Ed Felten. I'm co-founder and chief scientist at Off-Chain Labs, the company that developed Arbitrum. And I want to talk to you today about Arbitrum Orbit, the next step in scaling Ethereum. Orbit allows you to launch your own Arbitrum chain and to customize it to meet your needs so that you can have the freedom and the scalability that comes from supporting your own chain. So let me start by talking about rollups, going back to the beginning of Ethereum scaling. Rollups, of which Arbitrum 1, of course, is a famous example, are the leading approach to scaling Ethereum. And rollups have a bunch of advantages. They have low-cost transactions. By moving most of the cost of a transaction off of Ethereum onto the rollup itself, you can reduce transaction cost by a lot. When done right, a rollup can be fully trustless, with security rooted in Ethereum and interactive fraud proofs. The interactive fraud proofs are very important because they're the guarantee of security. And the Arbitrum stack is the only optimistic rollup stack that has working interactive fraud proofs. And then, of course, a rollup properly done is also drop-in compatible for Ethereum with full support for EVM equivalence. Arbitrum currently offers two chains that are managed by the Arbitrum DAO. Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova. And although they rely on the same core technology, they have slightly different technology and security models and therefore different cost. Arbitrum 1 is a general purpose optimistic rollup. It runs on the Nitro tech stack, which is fully EVM compatible, has been live on mainnet for about a year and a half now. Has been for about 6 months now. Call data in Arbitrum 1, the call data of your transactions, is posted directly onto the Ethereum L1, which guarantees that it's available for everyone. Gas savings, well, depending on what you're doing, it's often 20 to 50 times cheaper than L1 Ethereum. Your transaction result is provided to you in less than 1 second, and it's used widely for applications like DeFi and NFTs. Arbitrum Nova, on the other hand, is a general purpose chain using what we call the AnyTrust technology, also based on the core Nitro tech stack, full EVM compatibility. The difference from Arbitrum 1 is that with Nova, instead of posting the call data on Ethereum, it's instead sent to a special data availability committee. The result is a big savings in cost, even compared to Arbitrum 1, depending again on use case, 30 to 150x cheaper than L1 Ethereum. The average transaction response time is still less than 1 second, and it's often used for applications like gaming and social. So let me talk a little bit more about Arbitrum 1. And again, I'm deep diving into these technologies to show you what's possible with the Arbitrum technology, because you, as a user of Arbitrum Orbit, will have the ability to launch the same technology that's powering Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova and have your own version of these sorts of technologies. So Arbitrum 1. Arbitrum 1 really was the initial Arbitrum chain developed initially by Off-Chain Labs, and it's in alignment with Vitalik's vision of a rollup-centric Ethereum roadmap. Basically, Arbitrum 1, as I said, your transaction call data is posted to Ethereum. L1 to L2 bridging is done via a bridge contract that can self-enforce the validity of transactions. The security mechanism uses fraud proofs so that if malicious behavior takes place, security is still guaranteed by the Ethereum L1. And it provides a very strong guarantee. It's not subject to the kind of 51% attack or even 34% attack that some side chains have. Arbitrum 1, by its nature, is able to withstand the corruption of a large number of validators. In fact, you need only one validator that is correct and behaving honestly and is available in order for Arbitrum 1 to guarantee security. That's the key advantage of optimistic rollup technology if you have fraud proofs, as Arbitrum 1 does. The Arbitrum 1 ecosystem is very large, more than 2,000 dApp integrations. You can see a lot of logos here, lots of different dApps, especially in the DeFi and NFT space. Currently, over 1 million ETH reside in the Arbitrum bridge. That is more than 10 other major chains combined. You can see on the right-hand side an illustration of the dominance of Arbitrum 1, and the ETH flows over on the left. And I'm showing you this not just to show you that Arbitrum 1 has a huge market share, although it does, but just to show you that the community of L2 application developers have voted with their feet for Arbitrum 1 over alternatives, because the Arbitrum technology provides a level of performance and reliability that they really like. So if you look in terms of measures of value locked, Arbitrum 1 has, depending which day you check, $5.8 billion worth of value locked, and roughly 65% of the roll-up market share. Arbitrum 1 and Nova. Arbitrum Nova, because it uses external data availability service, it's able to offer much lower cost per transaction, even than Arbitrum 1. And so it's been very attractive for games, and you see some of the games that are built in Arbitrum here. Let me shift gears, talk a little bit about Arbitrum Nova. Arbitrum Nova, as I said, uses the AnyTrust technology, which is also available to you as an Arbitrum Orbit developer. The Arbitrum AnyTrust technology indeed is very attractive if you want to run your own chain because of its low cost. So the way Arbitrum Nova works is the transaction lifecycle is a little bit different from Arbitrum 1. First, the Arbitrum sequencer will batch and compress the incoming transactions in order to be able to encode them as efficiently as possible. The sequencer then submits that data batch, whereas Arbitrum 1 would have put the call data after batching and compressing it onto the L1 Ethereum chain. Arbitrum Nova submits it to the Data Availability Committee, I'll call that the DAC, and then requests a data availability certificate from the committee. The certificate proves that the committee has collectively promised to store that data for you. And if you have a valid data availability certificate, that means that if even 2 of the committee members are honest, that you know you can get your data back. Once it has the data availability certificate, the sequencer posts that data availability certificate to Ethereum, thereby proving to Ethereum that that data that backs the next set of transactions on the Nova chain will be available through the Data Availability Committee. Now, if for some reason it's not possible to generate a data availability certificate, because who knows, maybe some of the Data Availability Committee members are down or not cooperating, then the chain will smoothly and transparently fall back to rollup, post its data on Ethereum, and continue to make progress. So you get the advantage of having a very efficient Data Availability Committee when it's available, which on Arbitrum Nova has been always in the history of the chain. But if for some reason that's not available, you don't give up the safety of being able to fall back to rollup. Okay, so let me talk about Reddit. Reddit has adopted Arbitrum Nova. Arbitrum won Reddit's scaling competition in 2021. This was fiercely contested among a bunch of different L2 scaling technologies. Reddit decided to go with Arbitrum for this. So Reddit community points are migrated on-chain on Arbitrum Nova with a wallet/vault that's built into the Reddit app. When Reddit stood this up, they migrated about 250,000 Reddit accounts onto Arbitrum Nova with their state at a total cost of about $1,700. Community points are live in 2 subreddits, and the Reddit community is quite large, 400 million users per month. And one of the reasons why Reddit chose Arbitrum Nova is the ability of Arbitrum Nova to scale up in order to support the level that is the ability of Arbitrum Nova in order to scale up to support the level of scaling that Reddit needed in order to know that they could bring all of those users into the Arbitrum Nova ecosystem. So the Arbitrum Nova Data Availability Committee has a set of well-known parties, including Reddit, Google Cloud, Consensus, OpenSea, and of course, we at Offchain Labs ourselves. And again, you need only 2 of these parties to behave honestly and provide data when they promise to, in order for the Nova data availability system to guarantee access to your data. Okay, so what's new in Arbitrum? The biggest thing that's new in Arbitrum is the EVM plus concept and the stylus technology that implements it. So the way we look at it is EVM equivalence, the ability to run any program that could run on Ethereum, any contract or application, is crucial for Arbitrum. And we've supported that from the beginning. Now, but that's just a starting point. The stylus technology, which is currently in advanced development, expands Arbitrum 1 and Nova and can expand your Orbit chain to run smart contracts that are not written in EVM, but are written in other languages. It's compatible, stylus is compatible with Rust, C, C++ for writing your contracts. In fact, any language, any tool chain that can compile to WASM, WebAssembly, you can use that tool chain to write a smart contract that will run on an Arbitrum chain using stylus. So that opens up a vast set of languages and, just as importantly, tools for writing smart contracts. Now, I want to emphasize this is not a separate chain. This is not a separate silo within an Arbitrum chain. This is fully interoperable, fully composable with smart contracts that are developed using the classic EVM and Solidity development stack. What you get is that full interoperability. Users can interact with these stylus supported contracts. They can call back and forth with EVM Solidity contracts. Indeed, if you develop with stylus, your users don't even need to know that you are using stylus. They'll just get the benefit of your use of an advanced software development stack. Also, significantly, we expect contracts that use stylus to get a significant performance gain compared to EVM. And the reason for that is simply that WASM is designed for efficient execution, and it's possible to execute WASM much faster than you can execute EVM. So significant performance gain, again, with full compatibilities. So this is additive to the EVM ecosystem, hence the name EVM+. Okay, now let me talk about Arbitrum Orbit. Having talked about the main Arbitrum chains and the technology, let me talk about Orbit. Arbitrum 1 and Nova currently serve many thousands of applications, millions of users. They secure billions of dollars of assets. Yet some applications, perhaps yours, want to go a step further. Orbit lets you launch your own chain, which you can customize however you like, while retaining the time-tested security and scalability. Everything that you and others love about Arbitrum, you get to keep, but you get to have your own chain and customize it. Orbit is permissively licensed so that you can customize and launch your chain on top of Arbitrum 1 or Arbitrum Nova without needing to ask permission from anybody. So what does Orbit give you? Well, it gives you Nitro, the Arbitrum Nitro stack, which is time-tested, and extensibility. Not only will you benefit from updates that Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova deploy as they become available, but you can also implement updates that the Arbitrum DAO, for whatever reason, has not adopted for Arbitrum 1 or Nova. So you get not only the advantage of the current Arbitrum Nitro stack, you get the advantage of further developments in the stack, whether they're done by off-chain labs or by others in the community. So this gives you more flexibility than the public chains. You get increased gas price reliability. Many types of dApps rely on having predictable transaction costs. Because the Orbit chains are somewhat isolated from a gas cost point of view from the Arbitrum L2 and Ethereum L1 traffic, using an Orbit L3 chain means that you have more reliable gas prices, which means that your dApps users can rely on more reliable transaction costs. You get account abstraction. Account abstraction, as popularly implemented these days on Ethereum via ERC 4337, that is supported on Arbitrum. That's available to you right away. So you can use that. Predictable gas prices help make alternative cost models more feasible, such as subsidizing fees or indeed replacing transaction fees entirely by, say, some kind of subscription model or whatever it is that you want to do for your application. This helps you further abstract away the technical complexity of decentralization, helps you deliver more familiar experiences to non-technical audiences. All the flexibility of account abstraction is there. It's on Arbitrum 1, it's on Arbitrum Nova, and it'll be on your Orbit chain. There's also the ability to customize the protocol logic. Now, many people won't need this, but if you do need it or want it, you might want to modify the logic of your chain settlement its execution or its governance protocols in order to meet whatever your specific requirements are. And you're allowed to do that. The license allows it, and the software is flexible so that you can make the customizations that you need. Orbit's L3 chains let you do that while still deriving security from Ethereum L1 through the Arbitrum DAO's governed L2 chains, Arbitrum 1 and Nova. So you get the ability to customize and also the security foundation of Arbitrum under you. There are a lot of decentralization options here. Arbitrum Rollup derives its security from Ethereum. You can choose to use Arbitrum AnyTrust with the assumption that you can trust the Data Availability Committee. Orbit L3 chains let you use either of those models. You can also introduce additional trust assumptions if you want in order to meet specific needs, or you can go with simply take the default off-the-shelf trust assumptions. This, again, is up to you. It's customizable. And of course, there's low upfront setup costs. Orbit L3 AnyTrust and rollup chains can be created quickly and cheaply because they're on top of Arbitrum 1 or Arbitrum Nova, which have much lower cost than launching on top of an L1. You're going to benefit already from the cost savings of Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova. Your chain, although almost everything that happens on your chain will be within your own chain's resources and economics. You do rely to a lesser extent on the underlying chain that you're built on. And by building on Arbitrum 1 or Arbitrum Nova, you get lower cost and more flexibility, and you benefit from that as well. Security, obviously, Orbit chains can be configured out of the box as either AnyTrust or rollup chains. They can be further customized as well, but you get the benefits of Arbitrum's security mechanism. You get working fraud proofs, not only working today, but a fraud-proof technology that has been live for a long time and has serviced many millions of transactions on Arbitrum. If you want, you can permission access to your chain. You have the option to enforce transaction submission or contract deployment restrictions. Whatever the goals of your chain or your business model is, you have the option of doing that. Now, I have to say there are some drawbacks to running your own chain. These are drawbacks of running your own chain no matter what technology you use. And I want to acknowledge them because although Orbit chains or running your own chain is attractive for many use cases, it's not for everyone. First of all, there is some friction at the chain boundary. You'll need to connect to a bridge in order to leverage existing DeFi infrastructure instead of natively having all of those teams build on your chain, right? So on the layer 2, Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova, there are many users, there are many applications already there for synchronous composability. If you build your own chain, that won't be there, and you'll have to get those people on board or else use cross-chain technologies, which are good and improving, but still that will not be without friction. There's also more infrastructure complexity if you're running your own chain. If you're using one of the existing large chains, then all that's provided for you. But if you have your own chain, you'll need to think about RPC providers, bridges, block explorers, exchanges, fiat on-ramps, and so on. All of that's already taken care of if you're using existing public chains. If you do it yourself, of course, you're going to need that. Although, of course, the whole idea of rollup as a service is to provide that for you as a service and to reduce this drawback. Okay, so is Arbitrum Orbit right for you? Well, many apps are better served by public chains due to the widespread infrastructure support as well as the synchronous composability with other applications. But if you want the scale, the flexibility, the customizability, the ability to control economics and governance that come from having your own chain, Orbit will do the job for you and will do it well. Now, the emergence of rollup as a service infrastructure is really important here because the rise of RAS infrastructure support is going to shift this trade-off to make it more attractive to launch your own chain via Orbit for more use cases. So we're really excited about Arbitrum Orbit. We think it provides huge opportunities by bringing together the time-tested Arbitrum technology and the ability of the Arbitrum community to deliver reliable and efficient software, making this available to people who it wasn't available to before. We're excited about Orbit. We're excited about the growth of RAS infrastructure and the RAS economy, and we'd love to see you be a part of it. If you want to learn more about Orbit, you could go to this URL here, arbitrum.foundation/orbit. There's plenty of documentation there, including instructions for launching your own DevNet chain to test it out yourself on top of the Arbitrum Goerli testnet, with instructions in the future for launching on live on mainnet. You're going to hear more exciting announcements about companies and teams using Orbit. We would love to have you join that community. So please reach out if you're interested. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time, and enjoy the conference.